So welcome back to the table. And I want to switch a little bit and transition this. We talked about, in a multifaceted way, about COVID-19. And that discussion is going to continue as long as it's a relevant situation in today's society. We're going to keep coming to the table and emphasizing key things about that issue. But today, in this moment, I'd like to address the social injustices that are very prevalent, the civil unrest, hate, racism, all of these things. And I've been doing homework, I've been doing research, and we're going way back to the 1800s. Yeah. That's 100 plus years. Mm-hmm. The civil rights era, if you want to emphasize that, we're saying 60 plus years. Mm-hmm. That's a long time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's a long time to be oppressed, depressed, repressed, all of it. Just pressed. As we love to use that word, girl, you pressed. Yes, I am. Yes. At this moment. So as queens, because queens do things a particular way. Mm-hmm. So we're going to have a conversation of substance. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I'm resting on today, and you're going to see me post more on it, is the female aspect of this. Because Breonna Taylor took a backseat to George Floyd, who died after her. Right. And that's mind blowing to me. Yes. Many people were like, when I posted about Breonna Taylor, who was that? Mm-hmm. They didn't even know that this woman was killed in her home. Mm-hmm. Yes. And she wasn't even the intended target of the whole entire situation. So that's mind blowing to me. So I want to personally start by saying, it's time to be honest and transparent. If you don't believe racism exists well into the 21st century, I'd say there's a problem. But it's everyone's perspective on racism. It's everyone's perspective on injustices. Because all the way up to the highest office in the land, we had no problem calling in troops to be on top of our own people. Yes. Typically, troops are going off to war to fight the enemy. Yes. So calling the troops internally is saying that we are the enemy. Yes. Did we have people who went a little bit too far? Yes. Mm-hmm. But you have to factor in that young people don't have the filter that mature people do. Mm-hmm. They don't have the restraint that mature people do. Mm-hmm. So you deal with them accordingly, but now we have additional brutality. We have additional arrest. We have additional officers going out to prove a point. But you also had officers who realized, let me bend the knee and connect with this community. Mm-hmm. So it's a sense of responsibility for self, for how you want to be in this moment. So I had to do a self-check. Because I had to look back over my life and say, I know what racism looks and feels like. Yes. I know what it's like to be denied opportunity, even though you deserved it. Yes. I know what that feels like. What did I do with all of that? Yeah. And I really can honestly and truly say it motivated me. Mm. It motivated me to be better and do better and not be where I wasn't wanted. Mm. I learned how to position myself and desire things and to say, I know what I bring to the table. Mm. So I'm going to position myself not only where I feel God has appointed me to be, but where I'm well received. Correct. Amen. Where somebody can treasure and honor what I bring to the table. Yes. And that's a message even for the Black community. Yeah. Yes. We are missing each other because we cannot or will not appreciate what each of us embody, just as a person. Yes. That's why the jealousy and the envy and the competition and all of these things. Yes. So I had to teach people, yes, Black on Black crime is a problem. Mm-hmm. But every race I know of has problems.
Yes. And they don't show that.
They don't emphasize that. Yeah. Okay. True. So, but this is not about this moment. That's the problem I have. Yes. If you bring it up to me now, it's self-serving. Because it's apples and oranges. That's right. It has nothing to do with the situation, what's going on right now. Yes. We can handle that later. Yes. Because the conscientious population of us is going to say, yes, this is a problem. We're not denying it. Mm-hmm. This is the focus right now. Mm-hmm. Right. So ladies, I'm going to open it up to you because I have a lot to say about it. I've taken a very open stance, and I mean it, that I'm calling a thing a thing. I love Iyanla Vanzant for that. Mm-hmm. Call it what it is. Yeah. Right. Because you can't deal with it if you're trying to cover it up, if you kind of sugarcoat it, if you kind of cherry pick what you want to dress out of it. No, all of this is wrong. Yep. Mm-hmm. But it comes down to people-oriented issues. Mm-hmm. How we view people. How do we want to treat people? Are you going to respect or disrespect? how you're handling interaction with other people. And that requires you to be honest. So let's start with you, Rashawn. What would you say about all of this that's going on?
Ooh, overwhelming.
Yes.
That's my first thought. But when you go to work every day, me being in the health field, you experience the racism. Even though I walk in with my white lab coat on, my stethoscope around my neck, a lot of the white patients,
Your name on your
my name, Mr. Taylor. But when I am
They're looking for somebody else.
oh, you come take my tray?
Yes.
Ooh.
All the
Yes.
time.
I saw a shirt that said, "No, I'm the nurse."
Yes.
You get that. It's like wow. And or this one that really gets me. Like, hi, I'm Roshan McCray, infectious disease nurse practitioner for Dr. Leslie Diaz. Oh, I was expecting the ID doctor to come in here and discharge me. I am she.
Yes.
You, I am she. Wow. I have to do this again with my badge. That's me. Oh, okay.
Wow.
So
Isn't that something?
Yeah. So
Just
you
on
understand that.
expectation.
They just don't expect
They don't
to see us
you
in
come
these leadership roles.
Role and stuff. You
Yes,
realize that.
they expect to see us as the housekeeper, and
Yeah.
nothing wrong with being the
It's not
housekeeper.
right.
But they don't expect to see us in a lead position as yourself
Or the
walking in.
educated position.
Yes.
I've even
Right.
But
had,
sometimes too, I got it from one of us.
yes.
One of us. You can get it from one of us. I
Yes.
had a black male, and I went in there and told him. I said, well, I'll have to let you know if you can go home or not. You can't tell. I'm going home. So another doctor came in. The cardiologist walked in. He came in. He said, oh, that's my doctor right there. Can I go home? He said, she's an HENIC right there. And walked out. I said,
Yes.
well, when he
Love
left,
it.
I said, what did I tell you? BLACK. I told him that. And he just laughed. He said, sister, I'm sorry. I said, don't do that again.
Don't do
Yeah,
it.
Don't do
ever.
that again.
Don't
Yes.
ever offend me like that.
Yeah.
Downplay.
Or black women, or black people in general.
Yeah, don't do that. I'm like,
You
really?
know?
Even when you articulate yourself a certain way.
Yeah.
Oh,
You talking
And
white on white.
My son
Yes.
gets that all the time. My
Yes.
son.
Even still, when you speak proper grammar, they still look at you as you're
Yes.
beneath them.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's not four, it's four.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
This number is four, not
Yes.
four.
But
Yeah,
even
it's
still,
not.
if you grew up in a certain element and environment and you have a twist or a twang or
Yeah,
something like
right.
that,
Yeah.
that doesn't reduce a thing. That
Right.
doesn't change anything about
Exactly.
what I know and
Yeah.
what I could do for you.
And it's so funny you would say that because George Floyd, attorney, Crump, he
Yes.
has a speech in
Yes,
there.
he does.
He's smart
But
as
he's
all
smart
get
as all
up.
I do.
Yes.
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 So don't be misguided by that.
Yes.
Yes.
But that's a lesson to individuals and people. You've so positioned yourself to stop here
Right.
that you never gonna get here.
Right.
You never gonna get here.
Come on.
And
You
know,
never gonna
sometimes,
reach me.
Yeah.
Sabrina, I think about Martin Luther King. He wanted to keep the peace, but then I think about Malcolm
Dr.
X.
X,
He set
exactly.
things up.
You
And
got to
then
have
you
checks
can
and
hear
balances.
us.
Yeah, the balance.
Yeah.
The balance. But you got, you know.
I think some people don't understand easy.
Yes.
Because I've had some people tell me, you got to get rough. That's not my nature.
You have to get
right.
rough.
So I'm
Get
going to
rough.
call in some people who will get rough
Yes.
if I need
That's
that.
what I'm
But I'm not going to get out of character.
Right.
That's not my
That's
nature.
right. Oh my.
But
That's
I
not what
promise
do.
you,
Exactly.
you can still do a nice,
Exactly.
easy
Yes.
message.
Yes.
And it could be very profound.
Okay.
And when you walk in, like one of the secretaries on the floor, she said, when you first started, she said, sister, I got to pull your side to you. She said, I love when you first came here. So you come in there, you owns it.
Yeah.
So you
Yes.
walk in there,
You have
and
to.
But you
like-
have to.
and you have to go in there
have to.
like you don't play.
Yes.
Because they go look at you because you're black and a woman, like you don't know what you're talking about. They
You
come
have
to me,
to.
oh, you're Dr. Diaz's nurse practitioner? Yes, I am. What do you need? Oh, I need this. Oh, okay, sure, no problem. I got it. I have to know. That's why you have to know everything because they want you to say, oh, I don't know this, but no,
Yeah.
I know all.
And I know that you'll be tested.
Yes.
Yes,
I know people
every
who will
day,
test you.
every day,
If you're a little bit timid,
Yeah,
they
they can feel
you
it.
go in,
Yeah.
I don't want you touching me. I want
Yeah.
somebody else. I say, that's fine. You can't breathe. I can breathe. We'll see if we can find you somebody else. But if we can't, then
So
hey.
that's the authority. I love the authority.
Hey, you do it with a smile. You do it with a smile on
But
your
what
face.
is that? I'm here dying.
Yes,
They
you
don't
can't breathe.
breathe.
You don't want me to
Yeah.
touch you. I remember working in Palm Beach Gardens as a therapist night
Yeah.
shift many years ago. And a guy told me, white guy, he was like, yeah, I want someone else to come take care of me. I don't want you. I said, you don't want a girl? He said, no, I don't want a black person. I said,
Okay.
okay, well, you stuck with me for tonight. But if you don't want your breathing treatment, that's fine, because I'm gone. But I can breathe and you can't. So about 2:00 in the morning, Dad called me and said he can't breathe.
Oh,
So I come back, I say, you changed your mind, huh?
Oh no, that color didn't matter.
Yeah,
That's when you can't breathe. Nothing
Nothing
matters.
matters. Nothing matters.
You
Changed
hear me?
my mind.
I
I
get
said,
that in the spirit.
Yes.
Yeah.
just give me my
Yeah.
treatment. Just give me my treatment.
Yes.
I said, sure, I'm gonna give you your treatment. You want me now,
But
right?
look at the beauty of it.
Mhm.
You didn't go back in that spirit.
No.
In that vein. Because you
No.
could have easily said, even
No.
if you said, I'm clocking out and going home,
No.
oh, I ain't dealing with him.
No, I'm going back. I'm coming back to serve.
Yeah.
I'm here to
Wow.
serve.
I'm proving a point.
Yes.
I'm walking God out
Yes.
here. Now you
That's
gonna
right.
see what kind of person I really am.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
Oh my God.
And I think it just speaks to, you all are mentioning about how you've been treated that way by our own kind and then by the other race or races. And I just think it goes back to the character. It goes, because like you said, even beyond, like you saw him there as a white man,
Right.
but it was his heart that was speaking. It was his character, his
Right.
mindset
Yeah,
that you were engaging with. Not just because of, although I do believe race matters and we are African American and you have other races, I think you should be proud to say your race and stand
Absolutely.
in that.
Yes.
But I think at the end of the day, it's the character of the person.
That's
like
right.
what is
Yes.
even like I said, even among among our own race, and not just black on black crime, but like in other places, even in the mental health field, and any arena, any field of service. You find that we don't even know how to treat ourselves.
Right.
And so is it still about race at that point? No, it goes right back to it's about our character, it's about our mindset. And I love what you said, Sabrina. We have to continue to do that daily work. We have to be like Michael Jackson said, I'm looking at the man in the mirror and I want to see change.
Right.
Holistically, we come together. We should do that.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you're with you wherever you go.
That's right.
You're the only person that's always with you.
Yeah.
I live by that. I could go team up with this person and join this organization and be with this sister. When I leave
That's
here,
good.
guess who I'm leaving with? I'm not leaving with y'all, but I'm
Yes.
leaving with Coretta.
Yes.
So
Right,
I'm with
right.
me everywhere I go and to continue to raise the conscious about self-accountability. Like you're that person in the mirror every day. And we got to draw back to ourselves and not being selfish, but to say, I bring something to the table and whatever's in me is going to come out of me.
Amen.
Whether it's a racist mentality, whether it's
That's
jealousy,
right.
whether it's a good heart, it's the
All
love
day.
of God, it's the peace of God.
Yes.
That's what's going
Coretta.
to come out of me. I don't care what I have on, what
Yeah.
color I am,
That's
what
right.
kind of tracks I grew up on.
Amen.
That is what's going to come out of you. So
That's
we
right.
need to
How slayed your hair is.
Yeah.
How beat your face is. How nice your clothes are.
Because even sitting here, I'll say this really quick. I haven't been wearing makeup. I'm in a season where I'm not wearing makeup right now. I
You
gotta
worried
get
about your
comfortable
skin.
with these
Yes,
stars.
yes.
And I'm like, I'm just as beautiful, God, because
Yes,
it's an
absolutely.
inside job. I don't
It
care.
is.
If I just wear makeup and feel good, I need to feel good without it on.
Without
You
it
know,
on.
I have my scars and I'm
Right.
working on
That's
it
right.
with topical things and taking care of my body. But I'm like, no, that's not what defines you, Coretta. It's
Yes.
what's on the inside.
Right.
Yeah.
You're embracing
Yeah,
who
it's
you
what's
are.
on the inside of you.
Right.
And if they don't like it, it's some more beautiful people out there. I'm not as attracted to you. That's why God made more than one woman.
That's right.
But then again, too, it's not to send yourself the negative
Yeah,
messages.
of course.
Now I'm not gonna not
No.
beat myself up because you
No.
can appreciate that
That's
I'm
right.
healing, I'm healing,
There
I'm
you go.
nurturing
Right.
my
There you
own
go.
self.
There
You
you go.
haven't even asked me why I'm beat
Come
all
on.
up
Come
today.
on.
I don't have
Come
eyelids,
Come on.
eyelashes, and I don't have all of this stuff
Listen.
going on.
I want to chime in with that, Coretta. That is something. I've always been a natural woman.
Uh-huh.
And so I may put on some lip gloss or
Right.
whatever. And as y'all know, I've been talking about these braids in my head. Like, they wash for 3 months out, now it's time for them to come out. But I always take that self-perseverance for myself. And I tell my kids that, and I watch, like you said, it's not what's on the outside, but truly on the inside. And that is
Your
something so
character.
true to me. Because the character means so much. That's why my heart is the way that it is.
Yes.
And I could be at this table and that table and that table
Right.
and still be the same Deborah.
person.
Exactly.
I can switch with it, but I tell people all the time, I have a cousin and she know who she is if she watching. I say, I just need your mouth. You can get them for me. She will curse them out, tell them A, B, Z, and be ready. I said, but you know what? I know it's not right. But at that time, that's not my character.
Right. Yeah.
But guess what? That's her character.
Right.
And she ain't ashamed of her character when she
Exactly.
do what she need to do.
Hold
That's
on, though,
right.
don't we feel that way?
Yeah.
There have been many instances.
Yeah.
That's so
I
many.
had a black client recently ask for a middle-aged white therapist.
Really?
Asked for it.
Middle
Straight
age.
out. Middle-aged, specified. I showed up. Almost qualified
Come on.
for this case.
Come on.
For what you need.
Come on.
Now, if you want to sit and vegetate and wait and take a risk with all this going on here for what may or may not materialize,
Wow.
you let me know today.
Wow.
But if you want to sign up and do a good work,
Come on.
I'm here.
Wow.
Come on.
That's key.
Come on.
That's key also.
I
Because
had to deny myself because when they told me that, I'm like, why y'all call me?
Yeah.
They were like, Sabrina, she needs your expertise.
Wow.
God had to bridle me.
Wow.
You need it.
Right.
Get past all of that.
Right. Right.
Show up.
Go do what you do.
Yes.
Show her me.
Yep. There you go.
And she's one of my best friends.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's
A lot of times they
wow.
got to see it. They got to see it.
They got to see it and
Yes.
understand it.
Right.
And to be honest with you, culturally, who you asked for could not connect with you.
Exactly.
They
Exactly.
couldn't
Exactly.
relate to what you're going
never
through.
realize that
Right.
with the culture.
That's exactly
Yeah.
right.
I'm working something part-time now, and I know you guys may understand, but with wealth,
Yes.
it comes something.
Yes.
These people don't have Medicaid, Medicare, Medicaid. They're in New York, Connecticut, and these high places.
Right.
And they refuse a black caregiver.
Wow.
Wow.
They're refusing
Wow.
a black caregiver. And so I'm looking at all the staff. They're African,
Yeah.
they're black, they're Latinos, and I don't see many, I'm sorry, white people that are doing
Now you know.
Yes,
the
it's
nursing
kind of
care.
care.
The caregiving now.
Exactly.
And so I'm saying, here is your 92-year-old mother that needs this care, but refusing. And so as I read the journals and I read the cases, and I'm like, oh my God, we have to try to find staff. But how can you, like you said, this is somebody that's not in front of me. But wealth pays for something.
Yes. Yes.
Wealth pays for it.
Money
And
talks.
so it's so sad
Yeah.
that in racism we think about that as well.
And you know what? To be honest, this table should look different because we have rich conversation amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
But we need the opposition.
Yeah.
Yes.
We need the people who don't understand us.
Yes.
We need the people who don't get it to be at the
Yeah.
table.
That's another
And for you to be able to be comfortable, ask your questions.
Right.
Because we're here to answer them.
That's right.
I want to help you understand so you can see and know my heart, my mindset, and how I'm wired. And I'm not just showing up to show up.
Right.
Are there people who show up to show up? That's everything. Come on.
Right. Yeah.
You get married, people show up to show
Yes.
up. They want to eat your food.
That's right.
They drink your wine. They want to dance.
Yes. And won't leave your card.
not even card
Right
at
there.
all.
at the table talking about you while I'm standing
Yeah.
Okay, I know wedding crashers. I know people who look at weddings,
Oh my God.
get dressed up,
Oh, wow.
don't know
Wow.
you,
Never thought
and they'll
of
go.
I never
They'll
knew
make
that.
sure they'll make it
that.
to your reception to eat your good food.
Wow.
They just showing up. They don't care about the cause. But are we gonna focus on the ones who just showing up, or we gonna focus on the ones who rising up?
Come on.
Right.
That's good. I love it.
Right.
I love it.
Rising
I
up.
love it.
Rise.
I love it.
When people say you sick and tired, you sick and tired.
Come on.
I know no one who can continue to be abused, hurt, oppressed, and all of that over and over and over again and say that this is okay. But how we rise up is the way. What are we doing? No, we are not out here looting. What are we doing today on our Saturday?
Come on.
We having our articulated conversation.
Come on.
Right.
And we're trying to give you a perspective that you may or may not have.
Right.
But now it's up to you to sit here and watch this and take it in
Right.
and consider it.
Right.
What else inside of this? What about your black sons?
I have 3 black sons,
Oh wow.
which is, and one is 25, and he's out there. He's driving fast. He's smoking his weed. He's doing this. He's doing
Yes,
him.
doing
He's
his thing.
25 years old. When I tell y'all have no idea the anxiety I have
Yeah.
every single day, because every single day, because of his lifestyle and what the choices he made. I text him every day. Listen, make sure you do this, da 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 da. You know, and I have another son who's a hothead. Police pull him over. Ever since he's been born, word for word. You always got to have the last word.
Oh wow.
Just be quiet and listen for me. So for me, I have another son who's already in prison, who's doing life for a murder he didn't commit.
Wow.
But that's a whole
There's
nother
a whole
thing.
Oh, no,
That's
Ooh,
what-
I see
Wow.
several shows
Yeah.
coming out of this.
So, you know, for me, every day is extremely stressful. And I'm so serious, it's so stressful to me. And like I tell him, you don't know it. So he'll say, Mama, don't worry. I said, boy, if I couldn't worry, I wouldn't worry.
That mama boy.
I said, I can't help it. The top of my head is thinning out because of this. You
Yes.
know? So sit down and be still for
Take
a minute.
that pressure off
Just
me.
give me a minute. Just hold on. But he won't. They don't. They invincible. They don't care, and it
Yeah.
scares me
It's a whole nother
to know
Generation.
We would like to thank our sponsors, the House of Love Illionaires. Coretta Talbot. Coretta speaks life. Harris Boys Photography. Young men of distinction.
So, good afternoon and welcome back to our table. And I must say that the conversation today has been amazing, multifaceted, multi-purposed, and just rich. A lot of substance, wisdom, good knowledge, lived experiences, and we're going to continue to expand and expound on that. But it is an honor to welcome to the table now to our forum his feature presentation, but not the last by many, on the Cultural Pearls of Wisdom show, Pastor Dr. J.R. Thicklin.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And our featured guest, you become a new normal now to our show, but our beloved Deborah Powell Skinner. And of course, the lovely Roshan Ridley Walker. You wrote this thing out with me all day. You're so clean. I want to say thank you for that. Your contributions have been amazing today. So, Pastor, we've given everybody an opportunity to do the pleasantries, kind of introduce who they are, what they do, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the things that enamors me about you is that your connection to the height of the civil unrest and the movement, and being from Selma, Alabama, right in the heart of things.
Yes.
So if you could just share about yourself. I know in the community you're beloved, and maybe some people watching will not know you. And kind of let's start there as we bring your take in your perspective in.
Absolutely. Well, I'm Reverend Dr. J.R. Thicklin, and I'd like to say I'm just a young man from a little place called Selma, Alabama. I was born right at the foot of the civil rights movement. The Edmund Pettus Bridge is a symbol to me because it was a place I once was scared of, and then as I grew, I began to understand the importance of what it meant. As a little boy, oftentimes we hear stories about people threatening to throw you in the Alabama River, and so that was their way to, keeping you in line. But the thing that stood out with me mostly was the fact of seeing the spirit of rallying together. One of the reasons that I do hold clergy really accountable is because I grew up in an environment seeing people that knew how to if you would, galvanize the days before cell phone, before cordless phone, before any of that. When there was an issue, they came together. People like the late Dr. Frederick Douglass Reese, who was the person responsible for bringing Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. inside of the march. That was my principal growing up in middle school and high school. Individuals like that you've seen that have gone on in paths. Those was individuals that I was raised around. And so injustice for me was something that was always that bitter pill. And trying to balance that as a young man, and yet still being the product of the civil rights movement when school integrated, how do I now integrate with white people that I really wasn't used to? The truth of the matter, my first white person I ever saw was in the second grade. It was only because I switched school for that year. But for the next few years, there was not a white person in my school until I got into what we now call middle school, junior high school, and that's when I saw white kids from there. And it was an interesting experience because by that time, everyone is trying to get used to these new rules and what do you mean we can, and how can we integrate, and what does that look like?
And I'm sure, can we really?
Yeah, exactly. You're almost asking permission. Can you really? And the whole purpose of that was the fact, it goes back to what were we taught at home? What were we taught at home? We experienced racism and oppression, But I do believe in my household, in most black households, we didn't teach racism and oppression.
Not at all.
And so because we did not teach it, when the door was open, we hesitantly but optimistically at the same time walked through it.
Yes.
Many times reconfronted with it through different actions of those that really was refusing to accept the message, which is really the temperature of what America has been. The stroke of the pen, not only the 1964 Act, Civil Rights Act, not only the 1965 Voting Rights Act, all those things were strokes of the pen, but they did not necessarily move the consciousness of America as a whole.
They didn't wipe out racism and undo these injustices.
Exactly. And so when we ask the question, why are we back here again? Because what we have discovered is this. The pen moves things only to a certain degree, but the heart and conscience of America has to be moved. And I think that's what's happening now on a greater, massive scale, is that the scales of the eyes are falling off many who's comfortable with it because they didn't experience it, who's comfortable with it because my privilege kind of, if you would, had a barricade between me and reality. But then not getting ahead of myself, instances like what we saw with George Floyd and instances like the Breonna Taylors of the world and going on are the things that bring it right at home that in a 2020, in a post-civil rights era, why are we still dealing with these type things? And it's because of the fact we refuse to take the blinders off. Now the blinders are off and people are seeing. And I am so moved in this hour to really see very young people out there talk about no justice, no peace. And in your mind you go, do they know what justice looks like?
And that's what we're saying. Do we understand now that it's not just chanting a phrase or a mantra, and it's not just showing up with all this vigor and intensity, which I respect to a certain level as long as it's not criminal or anything of that nature. But now what?
Yes.
Because again, you go back to the circular pattern of what we do.
Exactly.
We address something for the moment. It dies down.
Right.
And we go right back to business.
Because what happens is that I call it exceptions. We make exception for certain things. It's something I said even yesterday when we addressed the clergy, that we are all guilty of taking our foot off the pedal. When things were moving, the moment we get settled in, it's like, okay, this is enough. This is enough. We've seen enough, but we have not seen enough. It's like, okay, you guys can go to the same schools. Aren't you happy? You can eat at the same lunch counter. Aren't you happy? You can shop at the same store. Aren't you happy? No, I'm not happy until all full rights are given to me that is promised to me with liberty and justice for all, ALL.
Under the Constitution.
Exactly.
And that is saying, don't assume because you've given me a little that you've given me much.
Exactly.
Because you haven't given me everything.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'm not willing to relinquish that. Because I'm saying I'm living in a free society where I should have full access. I should have full opportunity. And to be denied that on general purpose of the premise of my skin. Not the content of my character. I love that quote.
Yes.
I got a problem with that.
Yes. And that's why we have to demand the all. The all. You go back to a very important point because let's just say with liberty and justice for all. See, that's a big part because you got to understand, we were not even considered whole human beings by our own Constitution. We are 3/5 of a people. And so it has shown that you saw us as 3/5 of a people. I don't know if the other part happened to do with justice, but one of the areas that we have seen the most, if you would, discrimination is inside of justice. We're talking about mass incarcerations. We're talking about petty crimes that our people are doing things for, because they all served a multi-purpose. Long sentences destroys the family. Man is away from family. Family at home, struggling, all of these things. We impact the next generation. So it becomes systemic inside of that. So how do we do it? We have a lot to look at even recently. The legalizing of marijuana, and yet it's still so many of our people did extreme long sentences for possession of marijuana.
And now it's legalized.
Now it's legalized. Why? Because now the system can make money out of doing it. But when they was trying to make money, and I'm not condoning it, by the way, when they was trying to make money, whether to feed their family or get new meals, it was a problem.
That's good.
So now you can see, hold on, maybe they got something going on. Think about it. Maybe they got something.
Now we need to get it. Because if it was criminal then, it's criminal now.
Yeah, but now.
Now money, big money is attached to it. But we're not even emphasizing that anytime you utilize a hallucinogen or a substance of that nature, there are mental effects to it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We're not even educating just because you get chilled and a little bit of everything else. There's offsets to
Absolutely.
this. A drug is
Absolutely.
a drug. An altering substance is an altering substance.
Exactly. But once again, so often in this nation, unfortunately, we will put the dollar above the well-being of the people.
Absolutely.
And we see that happen across the level.
That's what
I mean, we're seeing that happen even in the age of COVID-19.
Yes.
You guys get on out there. We're going to open up the economy, but at the price of your health,
Absolutely.
even your life.
Yeah.
So it continues to go on. And what you're saying now is the fact that those type of things oftentimes are kept underneath because of the fact when America glorifies the dollar more than it glorifies people.
Yes.
That is also a paraphrase from one of Dr. King's speeches when he talks about the fact of a nation, the character of a nation. When a nation value their military over their people, when
Yes.
they value the dollar over its people, it is destined to be a nation that will fail.
Yeah.
And that's what we've seen. The problem is that black people have been up under the bottom of that and have been crushed up under all of it.
Can't breathe.
Can't breathe.
Can't breathe.
And it's been can't breathe. And I was appalled, and I'll leave it this way here. How could we on a day after George Floyd was first memorial service that we get a jobs report and who
Yes.
that comes
Yeah.
forth
Yeah.
and you get a little bit of a drop
like,
in
how
unemployment, and then
offensive.
you go and say George Floyd would be happy
He would
right
be
now.
happy.
He'd be happy right now. Look at. Are you kidding
You
me?
kidding me?
Really?
Are you really
Insult
kidding me?
to injury.
Yes, yeah.
I posted
Oh
it on my
my God,
page
that's
and
really
I had
insulting.
to expound on it
Mhm.
that a lot here is being missed. You're not even recognizing the need to be respectful and
Yes,
considerate. That's the basic premise. And then you hold up a Bible.
Yes.
That
yes.
means everything. Our
Upside down.
spirituality to our race,
Yeah.
that means everything.
That means
but then I
everything.
can go find an interview where they ask you, if you're so fond of the Bible, quote a Bible verse. And we go right on. The
Because-
Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I think all of us at the table think,
everyone, I
"Ooh,
mean,
yeah,
our smallest kids know that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
My God.
unfortunately, it goes back to show us something. I go back to the whole point, the dollar above people. The dollar above people.
Wow.
The dollar above people.
That's
And so when we go back to say, why is it that we see sometimes that even displayed in our communities?
Yes.
It's because the fact it's come from the top. If
It's
I
been
get the
dictated.
dollar,
Yes.
Yeah.
if I get the dollar, I'll rule. And
That's
that's the
true.
problem. you know?
Even if you get the dollar and leave your people behind, you
Behind,
have the
that's-
dollar.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
still have the
Isn't that
dollar.
something?
Yeah.
You have the dollar, but no one else have the dollar.
No one has the dollar.
And you don't know how to collectively bring people to get the dollar, and we be a force.
And
share the wealth
Yes,
together.
You don't,
Yes.
share, you don't want to do that.
Come on,
Yeah.
Deborah, that's
Yeah.
profound.
So
And you said something when you say that, because I had a conversation earlier this morning as the Clergy Alliance, we're really working on some things, and we talked about some things, because I've been questioned, well, are you all just a black clergy? I just said, no, there's nowhere in our bylaws that said black clergy only. The door's been wide open. Those that chose to walk in, walked in. Those
Wow.
who said that it looks like a black thing, they stayed away.
Yeah,
But one
exactly.
thing, don't get it twisted. If it was such a great idea to have one, why didn't you start one?
Yes.
That included everyone in terms of that. So
good.
now that we are doing it, we do have to be concerned with our communities. And so when we start talking about how do we now start talking about economic pieces for the church and what,
yes.
and not from the perspective, the preacher got all the money. No, because we want to clear that thinking too.
We need to clear that thing.
Yeah.
We have to
We're
clear
talking
that
about
thing.
how do we now teach our people how to get well, and we legally, and that's one of the things we have to dismiss. This whole notion that black people are crooked and black people are all that, we have to rid ourselves of those type of insinuations, because the fact it's been planted to make us feel that way. It's the same reason that the suspicion in the mind of a lot of cops. Why are you presumed guilty before I even know your name?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the United States of America is a jambalaya.
Oh,
So
yes.
you got a lot of different ingredients.
Exactly.
And I say that about the people.
Yes.
So we can't pick a particular ingredients because all those ingredients go together in jambalaya. Jambalaya is good,
Yes, it is.
but you got to have your vegetables.
Yes, you
You
do.
got to have your salt.
Oh,
Yeah.
You got to have your meat. You got to have all these
Your
ingredients
rice,
together.
salt,
So we can't
yeah.
pick and choose
Yeah.
Right.
to say that we have a stable and whole society.
Exactly. You're so right about
You
that.
can't separate it.
Exactly right. And inside of that piece, economically, we're discussing, listen, here's a phrase we haven't heard enough lately because it's part of our history in this past. What happened to the original Black Wall Street?
Yes.
We know
yes.
what was happened to it. That it was systematically,
Right.
intentionally destroyed.
Destroyed down. Yeah.
But you know what? We are resilient people.
We
Have
are
always
people.
been.
Yes, yes.
And like the phoenix rising from the ashes, we should
Amen.
rise again.
Amen.
And so we have to
There's
take
a word
leadership
again.
to say
Right.
how we're going to now talk about Black wealth and how do we now reinvent that. Part of it is going to have to be us actually being divested of some of our attitude toward one another.
One another.
When I
That's
become
key.
distrusting. Why am I
That's
distrusting
key.
of a person such as you, Sabrina, who, my God, who has a hold on this whole thing, understanding trauma and how it impacts us and understanding how it
But you won't
generationally
even make
does.
the phone call or facilitator bring it to the table because of something rumbling inside of you.
Yeah.
Right.
And now you've prevented a nation and a group of people who really need the knowledge and the
Exactly.
information from getting it.
Exactly.
So you're a hindrance inside of already being hindered.
Exactly.
And I can't understand the
You
logic
gotta
in that.
remove the elephant in
Yeah.
the room.
You gotta-
But let's go
Remove
here,
it.
because this is very important for me to address. Because I've been asked about the Black Lives Matter.
Mhm.
And I had to say, all lives matter in the context, the general context.
Right.
But when you look at these type situations where it's typically Black lives and we're losing them at an unprecedented rate,
Yes.
we have to say right now, my cry,
Yes.
my plea, my I can't breathe and anything else and bottled into this is that Black lives matter right now.
Absolutely.
It's not saying that yours is not,
Right.
but I don't see you going through this.
Exactly.
What would you say to that?
Well, I'll say to you that I think that the whole Black Lives Matter is beginning to grow on people, that they're understanding with a greater clarity.
Yes.
Many people took it 5-6 years ago as being more or less a militant type of a group and,
Yes.
and going that route. But the evidence is there. And yes, we know, just consciously, we know that all lives matter,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
But we definitely want to make emphasis that Black lives matter because they have been the lives that have been deprived of justice.
Yes.
They have been the lives that have too often been on the other end of the baton, of the gun, unjustifiably so. They're the ones that have been on the other end, oftentimes left without defenses and some of things, accused of things that they didn't do. I even think of Black people like Archie Williams did 37 years in prison for a crime he did not commit. Of a white woman, rape and assault, all that 37 years for a crime he did not commit.
Is that the gentleman who said he was at home
What's that now? He was at home when it happened.
when it happened?
37 years he
had to
did
prove
inside that.
Yeah,
Now,
nobody proved it.
all these years.
nobody prove it. Now, DNA freed him in this
Exactly.
sense.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
after all those years,
All those
why did the state of Louisiana why wouldn't they even admit it? Why isn't it they suppressed it and wouldn't allow it to happen? Because it is so easy to often say a Black man did it. Now in this case here, a Black man did do it, but it wasn't
It
that
wasn't
Black.
that Black.
Right.
But you know, that's the problem, that's the fear that we all as Black men especially walk up under. All we have to do is Black. What's the description? Black, okay? Eeny,
Yeah.
meeny, miny,
Yeah.
mo. It's your time to go.
Yes.
Right.
You know, and I'm concerned about that as being a father with sons and now
course.
grandsons.
Of course.
I think about that. You know, my youngest son, he's not the typical, like that. He's as brilliant as any of them. But he likes wearing this hair the way he likes to do it. And I, as his father, I'm not about to condemn his expression.
Absolutely.
Right.
For all the church folks there, you heard me. I'm not about to condemn his expression
Amen to that.
and who he is. And yet it's still, he told me yesterday, he said, Pops, he said, you'll be proud. He said, I spent 6 hours in a protest up in Tallahassee.
Oh,
I just said,
wow.
wow, 6 hours. I wanted to say that longer than I ever went in one protest march.
Too
Congratulations.
old for that one.
That's
That's
awesome.
But it sounds like it resonated with him.
By all means, it resonated with him. And the thing about it, when we begin to look at our lives and our lives that matter,
Yes.
well, Black lives have to matter.
Yes.
Because the fact, Black lives matter. Black lives have contributed to the building of this country. Black lives have contributed to the success of this country. Black folks spend more money per capita than any group. Now, if we matter on that way, we better matter when it comes to our just civil rights and living.
Yes.
And that's where we have to turn the page. The NFL yesterday,
They
it's
finally take a
an
stand.
apology.
Yes.
Why? Why? Because guess what? What Colin Kaepernick was saying
Yes.
4 years ago
They
has
didn't
come
get it.
front and center.
It's confronted. It has
Front and
confronted
center.
itself.
Yeah.
And
They
Ken,
ain't talking about
and
it.
I just was so in awe of him for standing.
Yes.
That took
Yes.
a lot of strength. When everybody is calling you out, everybody's you losing and all of that. That's what I'm want to get to that level, and that's where I'm advancing to where you stand.
You
Yeah.
stand.
After you've done all you can, you still
stand.
stand on what you know is right.
Yes.
The conviction.
Yes.
And oftentimes I think America has lost its conviction.
Lost.
Yes.
They have lost the
Yeah, I
conviction.
think so.
And so there's not been a conviction. You know, for whatever reason, there's been a settling, like I said before. So we don't look around and see people hanging from the trees
Right.
Yes.
as often as we
Yes.
did
Once
before. So shouldn't you be okay? You know, we're not exactly, you are able to have a job. Shouldn't you be okay? You have a few people like Rashad. They are doctors and nurses practitioner. Should you be okay? You know, it's like,
We've let some come in.
exactly. In other words, we have given you a ration.
Yeah, little bit.
That's good.
We're rationed
We
out.
tried to do a little something.
Yeah.
We're rationing out a little
Wow.
bit of justice.
Good.
We're rationing out. But we've settled for the rationing. But I believe that this is the hour that we're no longer settling for the rationing.
Amen.
I believe this is the hour that we're speaking out and we're saying no. And guess what? And we're saying to even our other white allies, and I say to the white clergy, and as I said yesterday, listen here, if I hear one more time that it's not a skin problem, it's a sin problem, I'm going to scream. Because that same sin problem seems to disproportionately affect only the black skin. So don't tell me
So
that.
if it's just skin, it should be
Yeah.
all
It-
across the
it-
board.
That's right.
Exactly.
If sin
So
is
we
sin,
call-
skin is
My
skin.
skin is
Come on
skin,
now, let's
exactly.
call it.
Call it what it is.
Call
So we
Yeah.
call it what it is, and when we call it what it is, put Bible back on it. Because
Yeah.
once again, I said to the crowd yesterday that God and racism don't mix.
It's because
It's not-
God does not call for this type of behavior.
No.
The Bible does not dictate. The Bible, in many instances, dictates peace.
Yeah.
One of the Bible verses, eye for an eye.
Yeah.
That whole context is you're supposed to turn the other cheek.
Yes.
And
Yes.
to me, that's biblically, even it bridles me. I'm like, Lord, in some situations, that's not even what you want to do. But God is still saying, I want you to be better than.
Yeah.
I want you to walk a higher path.
You know.
Exactly. And that's what it calls us to. You know, when you said that, Sabrina, you gave an example that oftentimes when I'm speaking to young people, I give this one, and my classmates will remember this. Well, not all of them, the ones that was involved. And it was one of my defining moments, being a young man that accepted my calling at 12. But I never forget being at a band concert. I was actually going to my old junior high school band concert. You know how you want to go back to your old school, see how they're doing.
Yeah.
What you really said, I want to do as good as we were. You know, and so I'm there on the outside, and the band director let me greet it all the band. But when we got ready to leave, he told me I had to go around the building to enter the front door, and couldn't go up the stairs with the band. Problem was, when I walked out, there was some guys that was outside, and they confronted me, and it wasn't me. They said, "We got you now." Like, they got me for what? And they said I had been throwing rocks, which I had. It was actually my younger brother. But I will never forget this moment, though. And he said, "So what are you going to do?" And those words always, "What are you going to do?" And that word resounds to me even today. Now that we've had the marches, what are we going to do? Now that we have a cross, what are we going to do? But it brings me to your point. I looked at him, I said, "I have no reason to fight you. I didn't do anything to you." And when he reached back and he hit me, he hit me so hard, I promise you, I saw stars. I was on the ground. I mean, it was blue like strawberries. I mean, I was out.
Yes.
And I got back up. He said, "You got a reason to fight me now." So when I stood back up, he said, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" And being a young man that was rooted in my word, I looked at him and I did this. I said, "Here's the other cheek."
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
One of the most defining moments of my life. Because I don't know if he would have hit my cheek, but what I know, he didn't.
He didn't.
He looked
He
at
wasn't
me.
even expecting that.
No.
He wasn't expecting. As a matter of fact, he said, "Y'all, let's go, man. You do crazy."
Yeah.
And he walked away. The irony of that is this. Life would pass on, and when that young man would see me, as we high school and stuff, he would cross over to the other side.
Wow.
He looked at me differently. When I was in the cafeteria, if it looked like I was in confrontation with someone, he would come to defend me. Never understood. Life passed on. He ended up marrying my second cousin.
Wow.
He married my second cousin. I did not know that until I attended her grandmother's funeral.
Wow.
And it was only in the last 5 years. He has now passed. He has passed. The story I'm telling you, I don't know if he ever repeated to anyone. And I found out 5 years ago, less than 5 years ago, he repeated it to his wife.
Oh,
And she asked me by way of Facebook, she said, "Cuz, let me ask you a question. What happened between you and Mike back in the day?" Because he looked at you as almost as if you were some spiritual,
Yes,
unnatural
oddity.
person.
Wow.
Definitely.
I never knew that. But that one moment of me turning that other cheek,
Respect.
We would like to thank our sponsors. Inner Journey Yoga Studio.
Here on set at the Cultural Pearls of Wisdom show. I know you've been tuning in, and guess what? If you haven't, there's still time for you to do so. There are many more episodes coming your way. Listen, this is all about us being enlightened, empowered, and educated. This is food for your mind, spirit, and soul. I'm just saying. So continue to rock with us, and if you haven't already been rocking with us, get on board. It's time to go.
Hey, you. Yes, you. I want to say thank you. Why do I want to thank you? I want to thank you for being a committed part of the Cultured Pearls of Wisdom show following. The interest has been amazing. The excitement has been a bit overwhelming, but we're just grateful for what God is doing through this newly created platform. And we encourage you to continue watching, to like, to share, to continue to engage, and help us on our mission to educate, to empower, to enrich, and to elevate minds, hearts, and spirits that have been somehow and in some way impacted adversely by this life. We all know pain, we all know challenges, we all know trauma in some form, but we also know healing and the beauty of what it's like to get on the other side. Stay with us. We have some amazing, amazing features to come. God bless you.
In terms of
That's what we spoke of earlier.
It changed his perspective about you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
12 years old, they're very profound for you.
You know what's
12 years
really
old.
sad, Pastor Thicklin, you probably can go back. If we would live the word of God, precept upon precept, and you said something that was key. I cannot take the scripture to fit what I want it to fit.
Right.
So you have to be honest, and you have to dissect, and you have to say, what are you saying? The Holy Spirit is a guider to strengthen and tell you what to say. Because if I just take, okay, I'm going to put on a shield of faith. I'm just putting it on. But what does that really mean?
Yes.
Right.
I
have to understand and walk this walk. So when you turn that cheek, I said the other day, there's a time.
Right.
There's a season.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
God gave me, he said there's a time and there's a season for everything.
Yes, ma'am.
So we have to be careful in
Exactly.
how we are dissecting and giving the precept, not what Deborah want to say, but
Right.
Spirit, what are you saying
Exactly.
that I need to say to my brother today?
You better
when I take the dust and I wipe their cousin, we just gonna take that because you know your heart and your intent.
Right.
But we pray for those
I love it.
that do not know
Exactly.
what they do.
Yeah.
Because we always say, you know how we take that? Oh, don't put your mouth on the prophet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Come on.
Don't
bring it
put your mouth on the prophet. But don't put your mouth on no one.
No
There
one.
you go.
No one.
Exactly.
Because
But
you're not
we'll
even-
take that one scripture
Yes.
and we'll make it just look. So that's what I said, collectively, if we do what's right.
Yes.
But I want to capitalize on that for a moment because I think it's very important. That requires us to understand our assignment.
Yeah.
Because we're all positioned and postured for different things.
assignments,
And in different ways. If I'm ever going to say as much seasoning and layering and experiencing anything else, if I'm ever going to try and put myself even parallel to Pastor Thicklin, that's a problem.
Right.
I'm not even giving him respect and just due.
Just to do.
I'm over here trying to define and develop my own lane, but you know what has happened? What can happen? He's respected the younger version of me
Absolutely.
and what I have inside of me.
Absolutely.
He spoke life over me when
Yes.
he didn't even know me
Exactly.
because of what God revealed to him.
Yes.
And it's come to fruition.
Yes.
But if he wasn't willing to do that, how much has been lost?
Right.
Exactly.
That's good.
What she's demonstrated is exactly where we have to go. And I love what you said, because you know what? That moment back then applied to that moment inside of that. The question is always asking me by students, like, what would you have done had he hit you on the other side? I said, I don't know.
Yeah, you don't know.
Because in that moment, and there are times, guess what? It's the other scripture that may apply, right? You know, inside of it. But you got to be in tune. What we do know that always apply is the fact that love always applies in the midst of it.
Yes.
You know, Dr. King said so many things, but one of my favorite things, he said, I decided to stick with love
Yes.
because hate is too heavy of a burden to bear.
Yeah, come on.
And so we have to stick to love. And if we be totally honest with ourselves, Black people are loving in more ways than we want to give them credit for. We're more forgiving
Yeah, we are.
than, inside of some things. And I think part of the fear, and I heard a person speak it out, that there's a fear that's been with America as if, what happens if the Black people treated white people in the manner in which they were treated? But I don't walk around, I know you don't walk around thinking about I'm going to give them back.
No.
We don't.
And to not deny or reduce, but I didn't experience that.
Got you.
The lesson implanted to me, and I'm going to give you an example. My dad, I think he managed 6th grade education.
Yes.
But
My dad
he
as well.
established his landscaping business. Did really tremendously well
Yes.
to include acquiring accounts over in Palm Beach.
Wow.
I would go with him.
Look at there.
I remember in that brown station wagon riding over that bridge, and I'm just looking around, and I'm like, oh my goodness. But you know what came out of that?
Yes.
When I found out how much he was paid to do the job. And I was saying, I cried and I cried. I'm not even talking $20.
Wow.
And you know what he said to me? On the coast of the Intercoastal at this mansion. He said, I had to take care of my family.
Yeah, this way.
He said, I had to feed my children. He said, I had to do what I knew how to do. Did I know that I was worthy of more?
Yes.
But I had to make it.
You had to make do.
So everything within me in that moment said, I will not be daddy, although I love and respect daddy.
Yes.
I know that I can command more, I deserve more, so I'm going to push for that. But he was a man coming back from that time that said, I'll just take what I got.
Wow. You know, it's interesting because what
Very
happened.
interesting.
He paved the way. He did what he had to do to get to where he was.
Yes.
But look at as it gradual, the progression goes. You come along and you understand and you better understood your worth and your value.
Yes.
It is what I say to where we have to go back and grab that type of history. Every generation up to this now have done better than the previous one because it was intentional. If I could just pave the way for you.
And I'm daddy's voice.
Exactly.
Daddy couldn't speak.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's the thing about it. I feel the same. I often tell people I'm named after my father. My father wasn't very verbal, but he could drop some wisdom nuggets. Wasn't very verbal. I'm the expressive one. But the thing about it, so much of what I speak is in essence his messages.
I was so loud that day he had to put me in the car and drive away.
Wow.
Because the lady was in the house and I was like, how dare you treat my father like this?
Exactly.
But he said, you have to see the greater. You have to learn how to hold your peace.
Yes.
Every fight is not to be done this way.
Exactly.
He said, I want you to show up different and be everything that I could not be.
Yes. Yes.
You want your child to be better than
Yes.
you? Yes.
And the Bible speaks to that.
Yeah. You want your child to be
Your leaders are wanting greater for you as he wanted greater for us.
Right.
That is an era. My mom worked in Palm Beach, to bring that in. And as a little girl, I didn't know prejudice. I didn't know racism. I didn't know it because the white people sowed many gifts into my life.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, I didn't know, and she worked over there, and then she got into nursing.
Yeah.
But I always knew that the love that she carried and that compassion that's in my heart now, I know it exhibits from my mother because she worked for white people.
Right.
I didn't know the underpaying. I didn't know all of that, but I know they showered me with gifts.
Yeah.
She shopped over on the island that I had the best.
Yes.
And so those things that were instilled then, we didn't always have, and I know struggle.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew struggle.
Yes.
And so when people see you, and I always say, the smile that I have, you don't know the pain behind it. You don't know the struggles that I went through even in my now.
Come on.
Yeah.
And so I continue to be there, but it's not a place that I'm hidden.
Yes.
Because if you ask, I'm just that transparent
Exactly.
to share it at the table.
But if you ask,
If you ask,
if you want to know,
if you want to know.
if you open the door,
They
if
won't.
you sit down at the table with me and discuss it,
Right.
because a lot of people don't know that about my father.
Right.
He did not want me to hate. He did not want me to be that person that grew up bitter.
Right.
Because I'm on the point now, I'm so upset.
Where's she at?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Where's she
That's how
at?
we think.
You're exactly right. And it's interesting that you say that because even growing up in Selma, inside of those times, there were still things our parents shielded from us. They didn't want us
Yes.
to see.
Oh, yeah, they
Sure.
showed
And,
us.
you know,
Oh, they
and
showed
it's
us.
interesting, you know, here it is. I find out all these many years later, if you ever take the trip to Selma, particularly there's a place called the Interpretive Center. They have a couple of them, but this one sits between Lowndes County and Dallas. The Lowndes County one is the real large one. And one year I went back when my classmate had passed, and we were all there, and she's a beloved classmate. And I had one classmate by the name of Tina. Tina's still a great classmate. She actually worked for Parks, National Parks, and all this time. And she said, this is Saturday. Normally we're not open today, but she offered to all the classmates, I'll give you a personal tour. I'm just thinking that everybody would want a tour. It was the team of one. And I went with her. I took my camera, and she's showing me things. And she's showing me things. And I'm weeping like a baby.
Wow.
Here there's a guy who know his history.
Yes.
But she was showing me things
You
that broke
didn't
my
know.
heart. I'm crying like a baby. And one of the things that stood out to me, and you'll appreciate this, Roshan, was our nurses. Our black nurses right in our own hometown could not even wear white uniforms. They wore brown uniforms.
Wow.
They came through the back door to serve people.
Yeah.
The discrimination that was there. She talked about and showed me all this archive footage of even of the Catholic Church, who oftentimes was trying to hide and protect a lot of black people in terms of things. And when she began to show some things, I said, stop the camera, because I'm just crying. And I said, ask her one question. I said, why didn't we know this? How could this have happened right around us? She said, Johnny, because in fact our parents shielded us.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
parents
Yeah.
shielded
Yeah.
us.
They do that.
Your dad shielded you
Yeah.
because he didn't want
Want you
you
to
to
see all
know.
that. They do
And
that.
inside of that, we live in a different age today. We shield our kids in different ways,
Yes,
but
we do.
but the world is so prevalent,
Yeah,
and
see.
because of media and
We're
you can see
exposed to so
that
much.
they can
Social
be
media,
exposed
see
so
it.
much to
Exactly.
things. So therefore, these kids are exposed to things that they see, and guess what? It doesn't take a rocket scientist for them to know that ain't right.
Right, exactly.
So
I saw the ABCs this morning
Yeah.
with the Sesame Street.
oh yeah,
If you can go back and just take a look at that,
I've got you.
the kids that were asking the question, and they had the famous mayor of Atlanta to
Oh,
give some
wow,
of her
love
things.
it.
But I had kids of all color asking questions.
Yeah.
But how many of us sent our kids to even ask those questions?
No.
This movement had to take place because I thought about it as a little girl. There were things that I was never told about history.
No.
And what you learn history in the schools is not the
Not the
history
same.
that you know about.
Exactly.
And it's not going to
So
go that deep. It's
Right.
so they're asking
Basically.
questions: why the racism? Why the rioting?
They don't know.
Why is this Black Lives Matter? They don't even understand it. So the questions are being asked, and they use it with the ABC Sesame Street with Big Bird. And I thought about that. My son is 35.
Yeah.
Sesame Street was really popular back then.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We
We all
looked at
it.
And we all did, right?
Yeah. So it's just so much in the timing of where we are.
It's time.
Yeah.
And I believe God is a supreme strategist. You would not want these things to happen. But sometimes these things have to happen.
Exactly for a reason.
It's prophetic.
It's
And
very
you
prophetic,
said it.
yes. It has to happen.
Yesterday was so powerful with the pastors gathering, and like I said, across denominations and black, white, Hispanic. And one of the pastors, I have to give it, Charles Scott, he pastors St. Paul AME. And Charles is generally a kind of quiet guy to a certain degree. But man, in his part when he was speaking, he said something that was so important. He says, I feel something different this time. Enough and enough is enough. But he described what he had saw the day before going home. And on North Lake and Military, he says, I see in the rain a white girl standing there with a sign saying, white silence is deafening.
Wow.
Black lives matter.
Yes.
Wow.
And he said,
I saw that too.
he said, listen, he said, there's something different this time.
It's different. Yeah.
It is because when we look and we see across America with a lot of these protesters and marches, we see as many white people as black.
Yes.
We're seeing a lot of people
Yes.
with signs. We're seeing little kids. I saw this little white girl, she's like 7, and she's just totally emphatic.
Yes,
Black
yes,
lives matter.
yes. I have a few of those videos.
Yeah, so so they
You
even
heard
ask
you
that
said
parent.
that we're seeing it, but what are we going to do? You said earlier.
Yeah.
We're seeing
Exactly.
it.
But we
But,
But
are we
even
going to change
to
it?
say why so many from externally from the race are joining in, with George Floyd's death, and I believe this is why it was so impactful beyond many others, we got to see him.
yeah, that's what I said too.
That's very different.
Yeah, very different.
You can't explain that away. You can't explain even the behaviors inside of it where you're just cool and calm.
And we
Why
the
this
rest of
grown
us
man
know.
is screaming for his
No,
mother?
when you see him over on the
Yeah.
wall, you handcuff him.
Yeah.
Right.
He's sitting there.
There's no reason.
Why did you take him back to another place? Because I said, even if he was struggling, falling, did you have to do that? Wasn't he
No.
handcuffed?
And the officer saying, "You see what I told you? You thought you were gonna get even the
It's like
dialogue and the
something he was
language."
saying, like he wanted that was like he was out to get him or something.
Yes.
I don't know.
It was very
Yeah.
like demeaning, but very like, see, this is what you get. Am I condoning criminal behavior? Let me put that out there now for the subjector of whatever he may have done and everything else. No, I'm not. I believe in choices and consequences, but no one deserves to die.
No.
Not at all. Here it is. A lot of the outrage we've had because so many of our people have been killed for non-violent
Yeah,
crimes, for no
yes.
crimes at
No
all.
crimes at
Now, if
all.
you're talking about check forgery, okay, let me ask you a question. Let's put check forgery over here.
Come
But
on.
let's put killing 9 parishioners in
Thank
Bible
you.
study
Thank
doing what
you.
they want to do,
Yeah.
killing them.
Yes.
And yet still, when this young man was arrested, you stop him by Burger King to get him something
Give
to
me
eat.
something. No comparison.
Look, okay.
No comparison.
Here's a person who had guns and
Yeah.
killed. Here's a person you pull out of a car
Yep.
and you end up killing him in front of people. Folks around you saying, medical
Everybody
personnel will say,
said,
look, let us take, and you did not think enough of
Do
his
you
life.
know where I went to? The active shooter incidents.
Yeah.
I went to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas.
Oh yes, yes.
You done
Same-
killed
same- Oh, yeah.
Adults and
Mm.
Yeah.
Same
and you
thing.
walked out
Yeah.
real smooth.
This one.
I ain't see no upset.
Nothing.
I ain't see no agitation.
No.
I ain't see none of that.
None of
I
that.
certainly didn't see you on the ground being held down and pressed down. None of that.
No, because you got to.
But you have
Yeah.
not forged a check.
Right.
You have taken lives.
Right. And it goes back,
It's no
It's no
explanation for me. I
comparison.
can't even compare to nothing.
so it explains, it goes back to where you started from. When people said, why is the outrage? Why does Black Lives Matter? Those type of incidents there. Because by the same token, the young man who shoots up Marjorie Stoneman Douglas,
Yes.
compare that to Jameer Rice just with not even a real gun,
Yeah.
and he gets killed.
Yes.
And so we see those type of things, and so we have to come into really the acceptance of the fact that we have a problem. And the problem is the fact that we see you as a black person, and it's automatically in our mind that somehow or another you don't deserve even being respected, because in order for that officer to put his knee on George's neck for that long, and I was asked this question, first of all, he did not see George as a human.
Every
No,
human
it's
being.
inhumane.
Because the first step to abuse of any sort is that I have to dehumanize you.
Yes.
Right.
I have to be able to disconnect from you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To treat you this way.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So dehumanize, objectify. You're an object. You know, it's so different. When I do this, I don't think I'm hurting this table,
Right.
because this table has no feelings.
Object.
It's an object. And by the same token,
powerful, Pastor.
we have been objectified
Yes, it is.
for so
Yes.
long.
It's powerful.
We've hurt you for so long, as if you don't have feelings, as if you don't have a pulse, as if you don't have families, as if you don't have people that love you. And so when we do these things, remove. And I want folks to hear this, because not just in this vein, inside of, even when we do this to each other, we are removing
Yes.
human beings out of the lives of so many. We have interrupted their generation. We have
Yes.
interrupted their legacy.
Wow.
Yes.
And as a father and a grandfather now, it is more real than ever.
And we're leaving behind children
Yes.
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 who now are left to wonder. Now they're left to try and figure it out, or disadvantaged
Yes.
because we won't change.
Right.
So now I call, as we round this out, that understand your assignment. Take up your assignment. Right now, and I say it respectfully, Rashawn, Deborah, Pastor, I respect your assignments, but I'm concerned about what God has called me to do.
Absolutely.
That means I look neither to the right or left, but I'm
Right.
concerned about moving forward.
Exactly.
And I'm concerned about doing God's will.
Exactly.
Because I'm not going to deny him. If I can be a viable piece in this moment, my piece of the puzzle is cemented.
Exactly.
And that's where it has to start with a sense of self-responsibility.
Absolutely.
If you go, beautiful. I'm going to lock arms with you and let's go. But if you don't,
You still gotta go.
Exactly. And Sabrina, it takes that tact focus from all of us. Inside of it, I go back to the first conversation you and I had. When you begin to speak, I knew from that moment on, and I even said it to you.
You did.
I even talked about the change in the passing of the
You
torch.
did.
I talked about the fact of because I could clearly see that God was about to do something different. You have to recognize shift. You have to recognize paradigm shifts inside of things. Culture pearls of wisdom.
yes. When God gave that to me, I had chills. I had chills.
Listen, that's not something. Listen, you don't just you don't go around just making stuff like that. You know. And then to actually define it.
Right.
I will go back to what you said before. The scriptures filled with metaphors, but do we know how to apply them? The shield of faith, the sword of the Spirit. We stopping the devil. Metaphorically, we can say it, but how do we demonstrate it in practicality?
As the Bible intended.
Exactly.
Not how we want to take it and twist
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
To benefit
Okay.
you.
Yes.
Exactly. And so when it's all said and done, you talk about staying in your lane.
Yes.
But let me tell you something. There's something about when you ride those roads, right? You have a divide or a line there inside of lanes, inside of that. But know what's interesting about it? On both sides of the road, cars are passing and going. We can't get upset with someone who may be going somewhere because we're headed to a different direction. No need to hate on you.
Come on, I'm going to go with the pace.
There you go.
I'm trying to get somewhere.
Come on.
And because you just taking the scenic route, just driving and looking around, but I'm purpose,
Exactly.
a destiny. I
Exactly.
got to go, so I may go around you.
Listen.
But it has nothing to do with your pace.
No,
You keep your pace.
Yeah.
But I'm driven.
Jesus.
And guess what? And that's what we're seeing now, because by the same token, when we encounter people, we don't know what chapter. We don't know what chapter in that person's life that we're intersecting with. You may be on chapter 4, but I'm on chapter 15 and I can see the end.
Yes.
Okay? So don't expect for me to act like you because I'm at a different place.
I'm in a different place, and my calling is different.
Exactly.
God has assigned me different. God has woke me up with a vision that is different.
Absolutely.
But God is holding me accountable. I promise you, as much as I love you, when I get to heaven, I'm not going to be standing by you.
No.
I'm not going to be able to call Pastor. Could you come over here and vouch for me? No, when I stand before God, I'm standing before myself.
For yourself.
Pastor, could you come over here and you speak so eloquently? Come over here and give me a good word. Deborah, come on over here and give me some of them good vibes. I'm not going to be able to say that.
No.
You won't.
You said something key, Pastor, and it is so good in the lanes. And I was just writing the other day about lanes and the interchanging on the interstate and the national. Let's go
don't you
there.
start
There
that
are
up
so
in
many
here.
interstates
Yes.
that have to cross bridges that we
Yes,
have
yes.
Yes.
And so when we stay in our lane,
Yes.
I'm going to conquer what Deborah is doing in the lane.
Right.
If you supersede me, that's okay.
Uh-huh.
I just want to get on, and if I beat to you, that means I don't want you to really to move, but I may need your attention to assist me.
There you go.
So we take things the
There
wrong
you
way.
go.
My perception is
Yeah.
my sister beeping for me because I need her help right now.
Yes.
My beep don't mean that it's intentional. Beep, could you come help me?
It
I
could
need
mean
your
a
help.
lot of things.
Right.
I'm not trying to
Yes.
race around
Yes.
you. I'm not trying to win this race. I'm not in the competition let's go back to the drag racer.
Yes.
It's just so much that we can take and cultivate the word of God. But when you said culture, pearls of wisdom, you know, I take stuff personal because pearls is my birthstone.
Yes.
It's this
Yes.
y'all.
Yes.
June, right?
Yes.
And I say,
Yes.
God, you found fit for me to be born in the 6th month
Yes.
on the 9th day in 1967. When you start talking about them days, I say, Pastor, I wasn't even born. But to get into the movement, because it's not about Deborah.
Wow.
What do you want me to do in the earth that someone else impact or what Deborah might have went through? So when we
that's
take
why I say-
ourselves out of the equation and we're asking God, what do you want me to do that someone else, I can't never do what Sabrina, and I commend my sister here.
Yes.
You know, because it's just awesome. But what I can do is embrace
Yeah.
Now I have another sister. Hey, you need to call Sister Rochelle. She can tell you about it. She work in infectious disease. I work in infectious, but my infectious disease assignment is not her assignment.
And that's how she made it to the table, and being to the table today was relevant. But that's what survivorship is all about.
Exactly.
God showed me, and He had to break this prideful thing I had going on.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, you weren't gonna know.
Mama.
Okay, you didn't know. I don't need to tell you all of that. And no, we're not gonna do it. And God showed me. That's why I carried you through it.
Yeah.
That's why I helped you get through it. I was preparing you for this moment. Now you're not gonna do an injustice to me and my people by not opening up. What I need you to do is understand it's not about you.
Right. One thing that you like you said about the highways, like I said with the Lord, like you saying, everybody driving. We all on the highways driving.
Right.
We're driving to our own purpose.
Yes.
Because you driving, right?
Right.
I'm gonna run into some bad weather.
Right.
That rain coming down, I'm like, oh Lord, I'm gonna keep them. I might slow down a little bit, I might pull over, but soon that rain gonna get up. But I'm still keep driving to my purpose.
Yes.
And the same with you. You got to stop and get gas.
Yes.
You got to stop and use bathroom break. You can't just stay in your car and drive unless you got a lady put the Bible on and drive. I don't know if you want to do that.
we're not doing that.
That purpose, that wasn't a good purpose. But the main thing, we all want to drive. I tell everybody, all your friends, you got your girlfriends, all of you in your own car, you all driving to your own purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have to be confident in that.
Yes.
We have to be confident in that. And if we can recognize that, because I do think a lot of strife happen when people don't know their purpose.
Yeah.
Because when we don't know our purpose, we ultimately abuse it in terms of it. And when we don't know our purpose, don't worry. There are plenty of people ready to give you one.
Yeah.
But you will only fit into the one that God has given you.
You will only rest there and be productive.
That's not going to distract you.
But you're also trying to grab at other people's purpose.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're trying to figure it out, or you're trying to compete. People ask me about early in the morning. No. That's me in God's time.
Exactly.
Don't even try to compare it and put it into your life in that way if it's not meant to be.
Right.
That's designed for a purpose.
Yeah.
But don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
Figure out what you need to do. And that's my message in the moment. And I'm going to ask you all to finalize this with a message to the people. And mine is, there's a place and position for everybody in this. I'm seeing it as a movement. Yes. And it's a movement for positive change. So whether you're posting, whether you're writing, whether you're advocating, whatever it is that you're doing, motivating, speaking, whatever it is, understand your purpose. And do what God calls you to do inside of this moment. And my God, when we put it all together, it's going to be a powerful thing.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen. Pastor, what would you say in closing?
In closing, I want to say this. At the end of the day, righteousness does exalt a nation. And I do believe this, that we have come a long way and a long way to go. The thing I want people to understand is this, is that we have to not only keep praying, but we have to keep pushing and pushing forward. We're dealing with things of police brutality and all that. We have a leader who's calling for military to be involved. But Commander William Adama said something the other day that was so powerful. He said, there's a reason you separate military and the police.
Amen.
Yes.
One fights the enemy of the state.
Yes.
But the other serves and protects the
yes.
people.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what I said, Pastor. How can we call our military on our own people?
Right.
Exactly.
Because one is meant to fight the enemy of the state.
I love that.
But the other one is there to protect the people
I love
and serve.
that.
And so what I'm saying in terms of that is this, even in our own lives, find our roles.
Yes.
Our appropriate roles are you building up or are you tearing down?
Come on.
Are you clearing the way for others? Or are you hoarding things to yourself?
Yes. Are you blocking the path?
Exactly. But we've got to be about our Father's business.
Yes, sir.
God leading the way. I love it. Roshan, what would you say?
Well, I tell everybody, just keep driving and striving in your purpose.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's the main thing.
Amen.
Yes.
And Deborah, what about you?
I will leave with the people. Remember who is the author and the finisher of your faith. There are in-betweens, but remember He is the beginning and the end of everything. And that is on a period.
Yes.
God bless.
I'm going to personally close with this. Because I've expected leaders to do it, and I'm going to do it. And to call for a national display of peace. No more suffering. No more pain. No more destruction. No more discord. No more separation. Let's be about healing and bringing ourselves together in this moment. I display respect for George Floyd. Not because who you think he is or was, but because of what happened to him. I convey respect for Breonna Taylor. I convey respect for Ahmaud Arbery and everyone else on the list that is long and extensive. We all know it's wrong. We all need to help contribute to the end of it. But additionally, what are we going to do to advance our communities and our country forward in a positive way? Thank you, and God bless you.